All right. It is 7:02, so let's get started. We have the City Council Caucus meeting. We have a couple things on the agenda this evening. The first topic on the agenda is the noise ordinance. I'm going to kick this over to City Attorney Jack Gatlin.
All righty. So you have in front of you, I believe, a draft noise ordinance. There is an error that we found. As much as Chief Rader would love for the Independence Police Department to be the enforcer of this, that is an error, so it should be City of Erlanger, and we have made that change. This is what we discussed at the last caucus meeting. It mirrors Independence. There were a few tweaks and changes to it. I think one of the things to look at is 50 feet is where we're enforcing this, and I know Chief Rader and I discussed that yesterday. Chief, I don't know if you have anything you want to add to this or any comment on this from the police department's perspective. And I think Mr. Hermes may have requested this ordinance. I did give him a copy of it, and I have not heard from Tyson on the issue.
Yeah, I mean, from our perspective, I don't want anyone to think that this is something that PD is necessarily going to be proactive in driving down the road, hoping that they can spot noise from 50 feet from the center of the road. This is more of a tool that will be used as, the last possible option to solve an issue. To be perfectly honest with you, there are a lot of city ordinances that we don't necessarily deal with on a daily basis or enforce on a daily basis. The court systems are a little leery about prosecuting on some of those. I don't see anything in this ordinance that I think obviously is too out of line. It is just something that we will use in a worst case scenario when there's a neighborhood dispute that we just continue to get called back, time and time again. It'll give us another tool in our tool belt. So I don't know if anybody has any questions for me about it.
Any comments or thoughts about what's proposed? If not, we'll do a first reading next meeting.
Beautiful. It could not have been better. All right. Next item on the agenda is transitions. We have Cassie in the house this evening. Thank you for being here with us. If you can you hit the orange little button? There you go.
Okay.
Thanks.
Yeah, I'm Cassidy Lee Can. I'm the Vice President at Transitions. So I am not Jim Biting, but I am here just to introduce myself and just quickly talk about the services that we provide at Transitions and hopefully answer any questions that you all may have. So thank you for this opportunity. Transitions is a behavioral health care organization. We've been around for over 50 years. But we have 2 locations in the city of Erlanger. We have the Residential Treatment Center that's been around for almost 4 years. So in December of this year, we'll celebrate 4 years, and that's at 313 Madison Pike. And then directly across the street, we have the Grateful Life Center, which has been around for almost 15 years. So we have those 2 sites in the city of Erlanger, and just wanted to share what we do and what services we provide, and really give you resources to be able to give to community members. I'll start off by saying if you ever want a tour of either facility, I am personally happy to do that, so you can get a feel for what it looks like. If you were to need to refer someone to treatment, what you would say it looks like, what services we provide, all of those things. So tours we can always absolutely do. We're very thankful to be in the city of Erlanger and working with fire and EMS and police. So we provide residential drug and alcohol treatment. And we also treat individuals with mental health disorders. We serve adults 18 and up, but individuals that come to our treatment programs live with us. At the residential treatment center, they're there for about 30 days. And across the street at Grateful Life Center, that's a much longer-term program, so they can be there anywhere from 6 to 12 months, and that serves just men. What I want to stress is that we are open to the public. We are open to anybody that is in need of drug and alcohol treatment, and we really strive to be no barrier, no wait list. Really, anybody that needs treatment, we respond immediately. Come in, we'll get you checked in, we'll reduce any sort of possible barriers you can think that would prevent you from coming into treatment. Some myths or misconceptions is that you have to be court-ordered to treatment, or you have to somehow have law enforcement. We have family members bring family in for treatment all the time. We have individuals that check themselves into treatment. We accept every form of insurance, even individuals who can't pay, that's not a barrier. We have licensed medical staff, clinical staff that provide services 24/7. We do a lot of things. We work with family members, educating them on the disease of addiction, how to support their loved one. We are one of the only locations that also accept women with children, so we serve many pregnant women, as well as women that just deliver, come directly to us from the hospital, and women with toddler-age, school-age kids. Something else that Transitions does is we offer recovery housing. So all of our houses are located actually in Covington, but those are places where when a person leaves treatment, oftentimes they can't go home, or it's not a safe living environment to go home to. So we offer safe, stable, supportive housing for men and women to go to and live for as long as they need. They're required to work and pay rent, and really we're working to increase responsibility and getting individuals into long-term recovery. So we do a lot of work. We're also very open to feedback. So if there's things that as sites in the city of Erlanger we can do better, we can be better community partners, we are always open to that, and I would answer any questions here or privately or at another time. But I think the biggest thing that we wanted to stress today is that you can bring individuals directly into our treatment center. Police, fire, you can bring them. We will serve them, we will assess them, we will evaluate them, we will give them recommendations. We do treat a lot of co-occurring mental health disorders, so I do want to stress that, because sometimes there's a separation between where do you go for addiction treatment or where do you go for psychiatric treatment. We can treat a lot of both, and we do at the same time. So there's a lot of things that we do. I do have some handouts. I think I'll just leave them at that table. But I would answer any questions at this time about the services that we provide, addiction treatment in general, anything. Yes?
What's the capacity of each facility?
Yes. So the residential treatment center is actually licensed at 180 beds. So our census depends on kind of how many people need treatment at one time. So we range anywhere from 60 to 80 is typically how many we have at the residential treatment center. We did that intentionally so that there would never be a wait list. Prior to the RTC opening, there was often a 1 to 2 week wait list for somebody to get into treatment, which was just unacceptable because people cannot wait when there's that, that need. So that's how many we have at RTC, and then at the Grateful Life Center directly across the street is about 110. That program is contracted with the Department of Corrections. There's about 15 in the state of Kentucky. They're called Recovery Kentucky Centers. So they all follow a very specific model, and Transitions happens to operate the Grateful Life Center. The female version of this is the Brighton Recovery Center off on Mount Zion. Mm-hmm. Questions?
Can you just tell us, when you say you can bring anybody in at any time,
Mm-hmm.
is that 24/7?
So right now we do open access from 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. Monday through Friday. and 9 a.m. to noon on Saturdays. We're constantly challenging ourselves to expand those admission times. Part of it is we want to make sure that we safely admit individuals and we have the staff that individuals need, whether it's from a medical perspective or a clinical perspective. We used to operate 24/7, and COVID kind of forced us to look at those times to make sure that we were safely admitting people, so we've stuck to those, but that is a plan and goal of Transitions is to expand that, because we recognize that people don't need treatment always within those hours. I will say that my boss, Jim, and I do make ourselves very available. I give out my personal cell phone number because I will make it happen if it's needed, because we do have staff 24/7 there. So in those opportunities, we want to be able to meet people where they're at. So that's where we're at today, but we're looking to grow and expand those hours.
Thank you. I know you guys do make yourselves very available, and you've given your contact information to our police social worker, our firefighters, our police officers. So
Yeah.
if they have the opportunity to get somebody help, they know who to call. So I appreciate that.
Yeah. If there's any other questions, please let me know, or if there's anyone that you would want me to talk to in the future just about what we do, or anything about treatment. I will say treatment works, recovery is possible. We see people recover every single day. There's a lot of stigma associated with substance use disorder, so we're constantly trying to break that. So anything I can do to increase education or awareness, I'm happy to do that. So thank you.
Thank you so much. All right, next item on the agenda is our small business grant. Councilwoman Reckers?
Thank you. So the task force met last night to walk through some potential shifting of money within the appropriation. So during the budget discussion, we, as a governing body, approved $130,000 to be used for the 3 grant programs that exist, and that's the revitalization grant, the demolition grant, and the new CAP grant that was created last year. For those ROC conversions. So we've had quite a few applications come in since July, which is so awesome. It's a great problem to have. And I was going, we called the meeting to kind of discuss like what would be a good number to potentially shift those funds, still within that budget line item, of course, but adding additional money to the revitalization grant so that we're not turning applicants away. And then there's, well, what if the work doesn't get done, and did we turn anyone away type of deal, so that we are making sure that we can continue to take applications through this process and have those funds available when the work is complete. So those numbers within that 130,000 are 20,000 right now allocated to demo, 50 for legacy revitalization, and then 60 to that ROC conversion within the CAP space. So the task force is recommending moving 40,000 from the CAP grant to the legacy, which would give it about 90,000, if I'm not mistaken, for that particular program. Do I have that backwards? No. That's right. Okay. Because right now, based on the applications that have been received and projected, we're right at 60,000, 63,000, and we only allocated 50. During the budget discussion. So I'm not sure if action is required. Jack looked.
Yeah, so I've looked at the ordinances. So we, when you originally had done these ordinances, we had allocated the dollar amount within the ordinance, but then we changed that so that there would be better flexibility. So the fact that these were all under the budgeted amount for small business incentives, I don't think any formal action needs to be done unless our treasurer feels otherwise. I'm sorry to put you on the spot, Kara.
No, as long as we are within our budget for general government, we're fine to switch it, as long as council's okay with that.
Everybody good with that?
So my recommendation would be like maybe at the beginning of the year, the Small Business Task Force, meets for the first, for the first time of 2023, and just kind of does a reevaluation again and see if additional shifting needs to be done. But yeah, it's a good problem to have. I'm looking forward to seeing all the improvements being made around town. Thanks, guys.
Okay, I know this is the end of the agenda. However, I do have just one other thing that I wanted to talk to you about really quick. I don't believe that there is any action required from council, but Jack is going to check on it. But I just wanted to inform you, there are 2 personnel policies that I want to make changes to within a very short period of time. So one of the changes is tuition reimbursement. Right now, the way that our policy works is that tuition reimbursement doesn't start until your probationary period is over within the city. So in most situations, that's a year. However, what we're trying to accomplish, and talking with Chief Godsey about the recruitment process for our firefighters, is when they are firefighter EMT and they have interest in becoming a firefighter paramedic, we want to make sure that we're incentivizing that movement and that direction for the additional training, because we are short on medics. So what we want to be able to do is, within the interview process, discuss with these EMTs that they can start day 1 going to paramedic school. So we have to make a change to our personnel policy in order to be able to talk to them about that opportunity. Because the faster we can get them into paramedic school, the more stable, long-term our fire department will be. So I really want to make this change immediately. It has absolutely no impact on our budget because the process for getting reimbursed with those funds, if the person leaves, that's already documented. There's already a process in place. If they leave in a certain amount of time after they get that tuition reimbursement, they have to pay that back to the city. So that process already exists. So it would just be starting day 1 versus after a year of employment. The other personnel policy that I want to talk to you about, this is a very minute change as well, but when an individual goes on light duty, right now we have it where the light duty responsibilities would have to be within that department. We want to be able to make it within the city. So if there's availability for a police officer that's on light duty to be able to assist in a different department, we want that to be available. And right now, as our personnel policy dictates, it only has to be within the department, which is kind of silly because we're all one team, and it already would state that the home department would be responsible still for that person's payroll because it's already budgeted appropriately. It would just be able to use that individual across any department. So trying to have a more holistic approach with government, the employees. Jennifer?
My only question was back to the paramedics. Is that the only position that they would be eligible day 1, or are we saying everybody would be eligible day 1?
Everybody would be eligible.
Okay. I just wanted to clarify.
Yeah, it would just be a change
But
across
it
the
would,
entire.
we feel like it would benefit the most of paramedics.
That's how
But
it
it's-
came about.
Okay.
Yeah. Tom?
This might be for the chief, actually. So that tuition time, is that going to be paid time when they're in class? And how are you going to cover the shifts when they are in class?
So right now, we've got 2 gentlemen, so we've got 3 guys that are under a year that have the desire to go to paramedic school. To try to relieve some of that financial burden on them, we've asked to do the early reimbursement. So rather than have them wait a year to be able to do that, because we're in such need for paramedics. As far as The pavement, we've got 2 guys, or the cost while on shift, we got 2 guys that are doing a shift-friendly class, and then the other one is being covered by, it'll probably be some command staff, and then overtime whenever necessary. Questions?
Yeah, I did. I'm glad they have a shift-friendly class.
It was awesome.
Have we thought about partnering? Have we looked at that in the region? I know we discussed that at the task force.
So that is still being looked at. Brad Foley is actually kind of taking a little bit of a lead on that. He's been asking around to see if we can kind of work that out.
Okay.
Just to kind of jump on that train, last night in one of my cities, they created a paramedic-only position because of such the shortage, and their concern is that some of the folks could not pass the firefighter physical component, and created a paramedic only. So I mean, this, from a regional perspective, the shortage of paramedics is real, and I think providing this training opportunity on day one is a better alternative than maybe going to a paramedic only situation or something like that.
I absolutely agree. We did, when we put out our last flyer, we did put out a opening for paramedic only, and we've got 2 that applied that we will definitely look at. One of them that did apply is trying to get her CPAT, which is her physical agility part of the firefighter side. So it sounds like she's maybe wanting to get into the fire side too. So it might be a little bit of a transition area. If somebody is a medic only and wants to transition into the fire side, that is something that we could facilitate as well. But we're
All right. So Jack is just going to confirm that no action is necessary.
Yeah, I mean, historically as a city, we have passed personnel changes by municipal order. I don't really think that's necessary. I think that we're probably going to move kind of like we did with bids, that we will discuss personnel changes at a meeting like this, but I don't really think that personnel changes that do not involve budget issues are necessarily required to be done by municipal order. But we'll make our final decision on that in 2 weeks.
All right. So that concludes our business. So do I have a motion to adjourn? Ms. Kyle? Ms. Reckers? All in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Have a good evening.